Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to this video. In this video, I want to talk about computed property in Swift. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because there is a question from one of my students in my Udemy course that asks about whether you have to pass in a parameter to store in a computed property. And I think that it's a good chance for me to just create a video to just explain what a computed property is versus what a stored property is, okay? So I'm going to show you an example using the XCode playground, and I'm going to build a really simple example, and I think it should give you a very good idea of what a computed property is. But before we start, let's look at Google, and I just type in computed property Swift over here. And it gives us a very general explanation, which I think it's pretty concise. It says that Swift offers us two kinds of property. A stored property is one that saves a value for use later, and a computed property is one that runs some code in order to calculate the value. All right. So I'm gonna quickly show you an example of how this works. Okay. So maybe in this example, we're going to create a object which is a classroom, all right, or a class. Class as in the school lessons kind of class, not the programming class, and we're gonna add some students into this class, and we also want to check what is the average score of the students' test result of the particular classroom. All right, so I'm gonna start by creating maybe this is let me just get rid of this. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to start by creating maybe I can do it with a strut. I think that's fine. Let's do it a classroom. Okay. So a classroom will have students. All right. So var students, or maybe let's do let. Okay. So let's make this immutable. So it will be an array of student. All right. So now it's going to complain because we don't have the student object yet. So let's create a student. Strut student, student, and a student will have a name, okay, and the student will have some maybe we do test scores, okay. So test scores will be of type maybe double, maybe integer, right? Because I don't think you have a decimal place for scores. Okay, so we have this so this will be a stored property, and then we're going to create a computed property over here. All right, so maybe let me just show you. This is the stored property, or red, and then this is computed property. So as the definition says, that a computed property runs some code in order to calculate the value. All right, so maybe I'll just say average test scores, okay, and this will be an integer, I believe. Okay, so we're going to do something over here. So you realize that computed property always, you have this pattern over here whereby you have a colon and it determines the type of it, and then you have the open the braces to contain some code over here. All right, so before I get into this, I want to just populate this classroom first. All right, so let maybe let's get some students first, okay, shall we? So let's do let I don't know, let Ali. All right, let Ali is a Middle Eastern name, I believe. So Ali is pretty smart, so Ali has 95 marks. And let Brenda, okay, so Brenda, Brenda, Brenda is not so smart, so she gets 90 points. And let Charlie is also a student as well. Charlie has not been doing his homework, so he got 50 points. And let David equals the student. Let's initialize this. So David has 100 points because he is very studious. Okay, so let's assign all the students into the classroom. Okay, so we're gonna do let classroom A. Okay, so I'm gonna create the object over here. So it wants us to, okay, so you realize over here, even if I am to, let me just uncomment this, and let me just return 0 for the time being, okay, over here. So you realize that when I initialize this classroom, I don't have to pass in anything to assign it to the average test scores. You realize that it only wants us to put in the student's object over here. All right, so I can do it this way. Since it's an array, I can have Ali inside, Brenda, Charlie, and David. All right, so now what I want to do is that I want to find out what is their average test scores. Okay, so I can do something like let test classroom A average test scores equals to classroom A dot average test scores. Okay, so I'm gonna print this out right now. Okay, I'm gonna do something like that over here. Okay, and I'll just run this and let's see if we have anything at the bottom. Okay, I think it's gonna show 0. Yeah, because I hard code this as 0. All right, so how can we compute this? Okay, so we know that we have to take all the different scores from the students and divide it by the number of students that we have in the classroom to get the average test scores. Okay, so what we can do is that we can do students. Okay, so because to have this classroom object, we have to populate the dependency is the students, right? And therefore in this computed property we have access to the students object already. So I can do dot for each. Okay, so okay, maybe let me just make this really simple, okay, so that it's beginner friendly. So var scores equals to of type integer equals to 0. So I'm going to create 0 first. This is a counter, so let's just use a for loop. Okay, so for student in students, okay, then I'm going to do scores plus equals to student dot test score. All right, so we are going to loop through every single student, and then we are going to add them into this scores temporary variable over here. Okay, so what's going to happen is that after this for loop is performed, we get all the scores as being added up into this variable right now, and then we can return scores divide by, okay, maybe let's do it this way, let number of students, or let's do number of students equals to students dot count. All right, because we have this stop property over here, and then we can do, maybe let's do total scores. Okay, so you make this a bit more explicit. Total scores divide by number of students, and I believe that should give us the right result over here. So let's see if this is working. Okay, how do I run this? Okay, so it's gonna give us 83. So let's bring up the calculator to ensure that this is correct. So we have 95 plus 90 plus 95 plus 90 plus 50 plus 1. Oh, why am I getting that? 95 plus 90 plus 50 plus 100. Okay, and we're going to divide this by 4, and I believe we should get 83. Okay, because this is an integer, I believe it rounded down to 83. Okay, so guys, this is how we this is the difference between the computed property and a start property. All right, guys, I hope this example is helpful. So just to note that computed property means it has to compute something inside through a block over here, and it will return a result based on what you define over here. Okay, so guys, thanks, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Cheers.